I'm Shelley Craig. Thank you to Kevin Jones for coordinating this little get together today. And those of you in the big room, hi. We're just going to walk through the event volunteer training for this year's 7th annual Faith and Grief Memorial Arch. And thanks to each one of you for taking the time to sign up and be a volunteer during the Arch. This is one of our big events every year. It's such a privilege to be able to offer a place for the community to come and remember their loved ones by writing their names on ribbons. Many of them will write messages. If you haven't volunteered at the Arch before, I encourage you to take your time and enjoy this time, not only with those who come and visit while you're volunteering, but for yourself to come either before or after your shift or at another day when you're not working, to come and spend some time to remember your loved ones. I'm just going to jump in here and hopefully everything will be working the way it should. Let's see if, there we go. Trying to get things to move forward. It's like, which button do I push? The story of the Faith and Grief Memorial Arch started in 2016. There was a tragedy here in the Dallas area where 5 first responders were shot and killed after a vigil and march protesting the deaths of Black men who had been murdered. And so it was just a really difficult time for the community. And we knew in our own experience at Faith and Grief that once the media went away, once the casserole stopped, once the world got quiet, these families would still be grieving. And so that's where the Arch came about. It started as the Community Tree of Remembrance in Thanksgiving Square. We were there that first year. And we actually just bought a little arch from Home Depot or Lowe's, I'm not sure which, because we thought, well, the families will be there, the community will be there grieving. Maybe we give them something, a physical, tangible thing to do and to represent the mourning that they're in the midst of. And so we had people write names of their loved ones and tie it onto the arch. Fast forward 7 years later, and we now meet each year in Clyde Warren Park and get the opportunity to offer this to the whole community. And it's just been a wonderful experience the last 4 years that I've been involved. And it's probably one of the things that people now are starting to get used to and looking forward to each holiday season. Okay, so here's the nitty gritty of some of the things to do. Dress casually, you do not need to dress up, but we do have folks who come straight from like church service and stuff and they like still look cute. Totally okay. But be sure and wear comfortable shoes because you're on your feet pretty much most of the time. If you want to wear a mask, you certainly can. You're not required to any longer, but whatever your comfort level is, please adhere to that and respect those who come to the Arch as well. We have had a variety of folks coming with and without masks. You're welcome to have something to eat and drink. If you get there and you're starving or thirsty, take a break and go get yourself something to drink. Fortunately, there's wonderful food trucks right there. There's both Mi Cocinas now, and at the end of the pavilion, sort of a fast food cafe as well. We ask that you just arrive a few minutes early for each shift. Parking is the biggest challenge, I would say, getting to and from the park. We do have available validated parking at 1920 McKinney, the garage there through Platinum Park Parking. It is a couple blocks from the park. So for some people, it's just more convenient to park on the street or even use the valet parking and pay the parking themselves. But that's really up to you. If you're the first shift of the day or the last shift of the day, there's just a few extra things you have to do as far as setting up or breaking down. It's we have a cart that is housed inside the green storage shed right next to the arch. It's literally steps away, where you will get the materials out and where you will put them back each day. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. You can see here our co-founders, Wendy Finn, Sharon Balch, and Fran Shelton. And this is from a few years ago. They usually come and join us here at the Arch location. Let me go back one, sorry. So people always ask, where's the Arch? The pavilion, which is the main stage area, is right here, and the kids park is over here to your to the right of where we are, but we're housed right here. Along, though it's not on here on the map, is the little green shed. It's not little, it's actually pretty big. But it's across the main walkway in between the park. Mi Casinos is now here. And there is parking along the sides, though most of that's taken up by the food trucks. But across the street, there are parking as well. The new water park is located here. And we suspect we'll have good foot traffic because a lot of people will take family and friends to come see the new exhibit. Any questions about location or parking?
Can you point out where the 1920 McKinney address is? Is that
1920? I'm going to show you here on the next
okay. Very
slide.
Good. Thank you.
Right here.
Thank you.
Here's the arch right here in 1920. It's not quite 2 blocks. I'd say it's a block and a half. It is uphill. That's the only slight thing. It's a gradual hill. It's not bad. But the parking is here. We have the parking passes. They will be in the the volunteer materials. And usually there's just a stack of them with a rubber band around it that says validated parking. And we usually have that in one of the 2 boxes that we have.
So you come to the arch and do your shift and then pick up and is it an exit ticket, I guess?
It's basically an exit ticket, yes.
Very good.
You'll probably have to pull a ticket to get in, and then you use that one to exit.
I see. Thank you.
Good question, though. Thank you. When you arrive there, like I said, there is a single-story grayish-green building next to the arch, which is a storage. The staff at Clyde Warren Park, they know us now. You will get to know all of them as well. So if for some reason you can't find something, just ask one of them. They'll get on the walkie-talkies and say, hey, do you know where this ended up? Because sometimes they have to move things within the shed itself because of other things that are going on. And though I think it's only happened once, our little cart got kind of tucked in behind something and we found it in a matter of minutes. But they are very helpful and will pretty much do whatever they need to. Right now, there will always be extra ribbons, markers, scissors, Kleenex, gloves and masks, name tags, trash bags, and some of our Faith and Grief trifold brochures in there. We're not really allowed to have a lot of handout type stuff, so we keep that to a minimum, only because they just don't want to have to clean up after us and clean up from what we hand out. So we have the brochures and things available, though we just don't hand them out to every single person that comes up. If they would like one of the devotionals, they're welcome to it. If they'd like a card that talks about our different programs, they're welcome to it, but we just don't really hand them out. We will actually have 2 signs at the arch, one listing all of our sponsors, and then also one listing kind of how to do the arch for folks. It is not uncommon for you and maybe your partner who's there volunteering for people to walk right past you, grab a ribbon, write a name on it, put it on, and not say a word to you. And that's okay. For some people, that's what they need to do this. Some people will, we have 2 boxes on either side of the arch that houses extra ribbons for when we're not manning the booth itself, the arch itself. And some people will walk right up there, sign the ribbon, tie it, and not acknowledge your presence. And that's okay too. If you want to wear gloves and stuff like that, you're welcome to. Some of these instructions are from 2020 when we were really kind of following the instructions for COVID. There will always be a few tables and chairs available to sit down. You may sit down during your shift. You do not have to be on your feet for the whole 2.5 hours, especially if it's slow and there's not too much traffic going on. It's certainly okay to do that. But if the traffic seems to be on the other end of the park, it is totally fine to walk down there and say, hey guys, how are you? If you would like to come down and remember a loved one by signing a ribbon, come on down. Most of the staff there is used to that, and they help us out with that as well. We'll have name tags. And Kevin, are we going to have sticky name tags for folks, or just a lavalier? Does it just say volunteer?
I think a lavalier that just says volunteer.
Okay, that's what I figured. We'll probably have that instead. So I apologize, that's incorrect. But people can write as many ribbons as they want. They can use whatever color. Occasionally someone will ask if the color has a significance. It does not, only because they're used to the ribbons that, people remember from AIDS awareness or breast cancer awareness or colon cancer awareness or whatever awareness that we have at the moment. The ribbons are just our colors, green, blue, and white. There has been no significance. In 2020, we did use white to signify COVID loss, but last year we didn't do that. So if you want to clean the pens and things like that, that's very helpful. Anything can help. The spread of germs right now is good. We are dealing with not only COVID right now, but RSV and flu. And so it wouldn't be a bad idea to clean those as we go. There will be masks in the box. You're, again, not required to wear them, but if you feel more comfortable doing that, absolutely. As far as weather goes, we will get Texas weather, which means we may have a 95-degree day and we might have snow. You don't know. Kind of our rule has always been to invite people to the Arch. If it's kind of slow, it's something kind of fun to walk around and say hi to families. And they probably are a little timid when you do that because they're like, who is a strange person and why are they asking me something? It's not uncommon for people to think that it costs money to do this. It is free, though donations are welcome. We will have the ability for people to text to give this year. So right on their phone, if they want to give us a little donation, they can do that. There'll be signage with that information. We'll try to make it as simple as possible. But yes, one thing that helps is if we can invite them with an open-ended question. I usually use, what brings you to the park today? And they'll say, oh, I'm bringing my kids to do this, or I'm going to do that, or we're going to eat at my casino, or whatever it is, or I'm here with my family. And that gives you the next thing to tell them a little bit about the Arch. On busy days, people will see people doing it, signing the arches and coming by, signing the ribbons for the Arch, and they'll just kind of jump in and do it themselves. Usually when it's a little bit slower or there's just not any particular other thing going on, sometimes we have to prompt them a little bit. Our opening ceremony will be Sunday, November 27th at 2 p.m. You are more than welcome to join us both in person or online. We'll be streaming on Facebook. That about 30-minute service is a multi-faith service. We open up to the community. Anyone can come and see that. And usually that's a pretty busy day. This is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And a lot of families are out just, Thanksgiving's over and they've walked all they can after turkey, so they go to the park. Invite them to use Sharpies. Sometimes folks will come and they'll want to use a pen. And though they can, we know that the Sharpies don't fade by the end of the 3 weeks. Sometimes ink pens, it fades just in the sun and stuff. Now that we're not directly in the sun, as you can see in this picture from Terry Bentley, we used to be in the direct sun, so they faded a lot more than they do now. But if you can take the time to wipe down the markers, great. We will have yellow hearts that folks, if they want to signify COVID loss, they can put that on there. We're still sort of, even though many of us are feeling like we're getting back to some normalcy, COVID is still around. There are still people in the hospital. There are still people dying, unfortunately. And we want to give them the recognition of that and a special place to do that, at least at this time. Always ask who they're remembering, if they're willing to share a story. I always ask them what they're doing at the park, and then I ask them if they want to sign a ribbon. They say yes 99% of the time. And then I ask them, well, who did you remember today? And they'll say, oh, my grandmother. And I said, well, what was she like? And for some people, they love the chance to tell the story. For others, they usually have walked away before I get the chance to answer or ask that question. So everybody comes wherever they are in their grief and in their mourning. So that's okay. We welcome tears. We will have boxes of tissues there. We usually put them out with all the other supplies. We have a habit at Faith and Grief of not necessarily handing a tissue, but letting them know they're available, because we honor them. They're a part of the mourning process for some folks, and we want to make sure that they understand that it's safe to do that. Our biggest job as a volunteer host is to listen. We're not really there to prescribe or give advice or, the biggest thing is after someone shared something about their loved one, I just simply say, thank you for sharing that, and leave it at that. We try to make it as simple for volunteers as possible. We're not expecting you to be a therapist or a grief specialist. If they think that, I usually tell them that we are a grief support organization, and if they would be interested in learning more about our programs, I might hand them one of our cards that gives that information, or I tell them they can definitely go to our website to learn more. And that's about where I leave it. I don't sit there and sign them up while they're sitting there, unless they ask. Sometimes people will say, well, tell me more, and I'll tell them more. And they're like, well, how can I sign up? And I said, would you like, I can show you right on your phone how to do it. And they go, oh, great. And I'll walk them through it. But that's a very small group of folks. You do not need to share your personal contact information. If they have questions about Faith and Grief, just send them to our website, or they can go to our phone number, as well as the info@faithandgrief.org. Any of those places they could get information about the programs.
Does the phone number go to Liz Harling, or whose number?
The phone number goes to a Google voicemail, which is checked daily. Susan Ingrell checks it most of the time, but she and I both get, the good part about Google Voice is it sends you a email with all that basically is transcribed the voicemail, and it's so much easier to deal with. We used to have it go to a specific cell phone, but managing that was really hard. So people are encouraged to take pictures at the arch. In fact, most people will take, they'll sign the ribbon, they'll tie it on, and then they'll want to take a picture. You're fine to help them do that. If you want to say, hey, would you like me to take that picture for you? That's great. If they want to do it themselves, let them do it themselves, like whatever seems to work. They can use the hashtag Memorial Arch and Faith and Grief Memorial Arch. Those will be on signage, so you don't have to give that out every 15 minutes or anything. But, that's a good place for us to track, what kind of sharing we're getting out there and so forth. Donations, like I said, sometimes folks feel like they'll always say, how much is it? And understandably so. Most of them would come downtown and they've spent money at like a museum, or they've spent money over here, and they've spent money here, and they've spent money here, and they just expect there's got to be a catch, right? And so I quickly said, no, we're a nonprofit. It's totally free. Of course, we'd love a donation if it's something you feel called to do, but you're totally fine just to sign the ribbon and add it to the arch. And they're usually, once we tell them it doesn't cost anything, they always say yes. So I'll be sending some stuff to Kevin once we get the code for text to give. but most likely it's going to be, they'll give, text to give will give us some kind of number like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and text grief to that. So we'll do something along those lines. At the end of a shift, if it's the last shift of the day, later in the afternoon, basically we just box up all the materials. There will be 2 like Rubbermaid boxes in the cart. Over the course of the 3 weeks, as long as it stays in some version of everything makes it to the box, that's mostly what we're concerned with. But there will be boxes for pens, boxes for ribbons, etc. So you'll be able to pretty much see that. We do leave 2 boxes. Like I said before, they're the kind of realtor boxes, you know, where you can pull a flyer out of. We have those and we stuff those with extra ribbons. So for the early morning joggers or the late evening strollers, they can still write a ribbon. What we've been doing is just sort of leaving a pin attached to the box. And that's about as good as we can do. A couple years ago, we had it where people were taking the marker and then marking on the actual arch. That hasn't happened in the last couple of years because we've been in the main part of the park. So the security is much better there. So we haven't really worried about that so much. Important information. Kevin will get you his contact information so that if for some reason you need to switch shifts, or if the weather is inclement, if it's pouring down rain, if it's snowing, if it's below 40 degrees, we are not going to require you to stand out in the freezing cold and wait for people to come sign ribbons. We have another mechanism for that. They can kick the ribbons right out of the thing. Plus, during inclement weather, the park is usually practically empty. There usually is, if it's pouring down rain, there's very few people there. If there's any changes in anything, like if the park has to close for whatever reason, we'll try to send out the information as soon as possible. They just reopened the children's park just like in the last, I think, week and a half or so. So I have a feeling the next few weeks are going to be high traffic because kids haven't been there on a regular basis. But sometimes they'll have to close things because of construction in the past. As far as my understanding from Clyde Warren is they're kind of done with construction for now, and they won't be doing anything new until the spring, which I'm hopeful that that's the case. In past years, we've had things like they decided to redo the lawn in the middle of December, you know, just weird random stuff. Hopefully that won't be the case. But thank you so much again for volunteering, and I hope that it will serve you as much as it serves those in our community. I know it's always been a privilege to be at the park, see our community in all its glory, and see just how important this is to so many folks who many times did not expect the opportunity to remember their loved ones when they visited. So many times people will immediately say, I'm so glad this is here. I so needed this. And thank you.
So now we have a couple of questions.
Sure.
We're going to wait with more information, the question and answers or anything. Is it online?
So it's going to be online. So we're going to send you all a copy of the video and then also the PowerPoint slide deck so you can have a copy of it.
The registration went to, this, I have it for my church too, where you automatically schedule yourself. But is that where you know that I'm scheduled?
Yes.
Because when it said registered, I thought I'd be registering somewhere else rather than picking the time.
Yeah.
But picking the time will get me all set up.
Yes.
Okay. And anyway, I'm almost at the end in December sometime. I think the last week or the second from the last week because I'm going to be out of town. But I'm looking forward to doing this. I have not done it before.
Oh, yes.
I'm Patricia Plutner from St. Michael's and All Angels. Yeah. But I'm a psychotherapist. I'm 81 and I'm retired. And when I read to be able to listen to their grief, because I haven't done that for quite a while, so I'm looking, not that I'm looking forward to it, but I'm yeah, that would be meaningful to me to be able to help out that way. So,
And-
and I don't know how I ever missed it, that this is their 7th year. Goodness, is it usually during Thanksgiving time? Well, I'm usually gone, with my kids. I'm going back to Green Bay for this one, otherwise I was in
Oh.
Colorado. My kids live in, they live in California, Colorado, and Minnesota, but I was gonna say Denver. She actually works in Boulder now, but lives in Loveland. She's, how old is Sharon? 52, and she's my baby. She bought a small house near the Packer Stadium, in Green Bay. She got a good price on it, though it has 4 bedrooms, but it's a 1955-year-old house. So we're all going there for Thanksgiving. We're all coming in.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're going up
So,
where it's cold.
Is this your church?
No, this is the church allow us to have it here to host a meeting here.
It's a beautiful building. It's set up.
Mhm.
My next door neighbor, which I just found out before I left because I saw this cart with a pony, and I said, a pony? And they said, yes, come. It's the little girl next door for her birthday. Only between 2 and 3, the pony will be there, so I will
Okay.
have to go see the pony. We're done, right?
Yeah. And I'll remember seeing your name on my list, Patricia. So I'm gonna send you all this PowerPoint slide and then also the video to
I
watch as
appreciate
well.
it.
Yeah.
Watching very closely, and especially the part about re-sanitizing the Sharpie. Yes, Tricia, it's
So nice to meet you. I'm
Yeah.
so happy.
A lot of people, that's why I came in person.
Oh, thank you.
All right, well, I think we can wrap up.
Yes.
John and Lynn, thank you so much for joining
Oh.
us here.
Betsy has a question.
Oh,
Sorry.
good. Betsy, sorry.
Hear me? So Shelley, the question is, what about if you're the first time opener? What about getting into the shed? Where's the key?
It's always open. If for some reason it's before, like, I think our first shift starts at 11:30, is that right, Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah, it's already open for us. The
Oh.
only day we might run into anything like that is opening day on the 27th. The staff there opens it like at 6 in the morning, I think, and doesn't close it till like 11 at night. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
Well, thank you all so much for attending. Thank you, Shelley. This was great. And
Thank you.
you all will be receiving the recording and then also a copy of the slide deck. And then I will be sending you guys information about parking. Thanks for that wonderful little map, because I'm going to send that out to our volunteers so that they know where to go when they do volunteer. So thank you guys for joining.
Thank you so
Sounds good.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.